Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're getting good at this ish.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll let the viewers decide.
Better.
Yeah, better. I'm super excited though today because not only do we have a dear personal friend, former colleague, client, and absolute wizard extraordinaire brand marketer.
Rockstar, if you will.
Rockstar, totally genius. On the podcast today, Hannah Tsumoto joining us from Doordash, where she has actually, you've done so many interesting, unique things from like esports, gaming, brand marketing, consumer, student. I don't even know that I can name them all.
You probably could.
Tell us what you're doing now. What is your latest incredible genius role?
First of all, I'm humbled that you even say those words about me because you are the one who is literally changing the world. So thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I really appreciate coming on and chatting about AI today. So my role right now at Doordash as a marketer is thinking about how we can integrate AI into all of our marketing workflows to supercharge us and augment every marketer within the team. So I know this is a somewhat controversial conversation, but I'm ready to dive in.
I love it. So juicy. So many amazing things. I feel like we could literally go on forever and ever. We're going to try and keep it to 21 minutes. We'll see how that goes.
We do 21 minutes on this daily.
I know.
Yeah.
No, for sure. So kick us off. Something we've been talking about and the world is talking about. In fact, you and I think trade these articles on the weekly, if not daily. Would you say that for marketers listening, that if their company isn't already integrating AI, it's a dead-end job? What's your hot take?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we're in a world within like 12 months where not using AI in your marketing workflows would be like not using email or Slack. Like I am not over-exaggerating at all. There's so many tools, even as simple as like you're using ChatGPT to rewrite an email or you're using Gemini to reorganize a spreadsheet. Like these are tools that every marketer should be using daily right now. So I think one, if you're a marketer and you're not using them, you should start, like try. But I think if your company isn't giving you the freedom and opening up the opportunity for you and having enterprise tools, integrated into your team, I don't know if I would say it's a dead-end job, but it feels like those companies are not going to be winning in 12 to 24 months.
Yeah. And I feel like that number, the 12 to 24 months just continues to change because it's speeding up exponentially, the tools, what they can do, how people are using them. Also, it's like you need a human right now because it lies. It will just straight up lie to you. So I'm curious to understand, like, from the amount of productivity and workflow integration and, like, marketing ideas that you're getting out of it, would you say that AI, if it lied, but sales went up, would you still keep it?
I think you have to decide what you're okay with it lying about. And I think lying is an interesting way to put it. And I know that's how everyone thinks about it, is hallucination, right? That happens usually with pulling data, right? And taking information from an existing document. I think there needs to be a human in the loop. We're not in the world where it's going to do your job for you. And that's like not the game we're playing here. Excel can also make mistakes, right? But it gives you a giant error message in the cell because you see it, right? Right now, AI, LLMs don't really do that. But I think as you're speaking to them, you can ask it really clear questions, right? So if you see something that's like a little off, you're like, hey, can you go take a second look at that? And very often, if it seems off, it will say something like, oh yeah, you're right. Actually, I took a second look at that, and here's how I would answer that again, right? And like that happens with people too. So this is not just an AI problem, right? Like
So fair.
I look at a
How many meetings have
spreadsheet.
you been on and your boss has been like, is this right? And you're like,
Correct, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, people look at spreadsheets differently, they interpret things differently, and I think that's the way AI is too, right? Because you get out of it what you feed it. So I think the more specific you can be with the questions that you're asking it, I think the better the outcome will be. That gets into the whole world of prompting, right? And the science of prompting. But what I'm finding as the LLMs continue to get smarter is that you can ask it what the best way to prompt it is, right? So
Yes.
I'm starting on this project. Ask me questions that will help you get to the right answer. So it's almost like
Yeah.
you're having it do the job for you. Sort of like
Right.
when you sit down with your boss, right? You're like, okay, actually, I have a bunch of questions to ask you before we get started, right? You told me to do A, but I need some clarification before I just go and do it. Like, you should treat your LLM in the same way, right? And like, have it ask you questions, you ask it questions. And then at the end of sort of a back and forth, you're getting to the answer that you need.
right.
Yeah, I love having it give me the brief. Like, give me your brief questions so that you can do your job right.
Exactly.
And then more than likely you get a way better answer than if you lazy prompt or you just kind of like vibe prompt.
Yeah, the first answer is never the right answer. And like in life as
Yeah,
well,
in
the
general.
first answer
Yep.
is never the right answer, you know?
You should question it. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
true.
I love to, like, it'll play itself, and then I'll be like, hey, is this a lie? And I'll be like, oh, yeah, sorry, whoops. So sometimes
bad.
it's just that simple. Of like,
Casual.
is this real or,
Yeah.
you know, insane? So that said, you know, we're asking AI to do more and more on the daily, which presents the question, what is kind of the next gen marketer look like? And Hannah, I know you have thoughts around this because initially you were calling it like a backpack journalist, right? Can you bring that thread through? Because I think this is like a really, sorry, we're just going off topic here, but I know you've got great answers for it. So I know you have like this really cool, interesting framework of how you think about a marketer today, especially in a role that you're forced to brainstorm and be thoughtful and use it as a tool, right? So like, what is the next generation of marketers with AI? What does that
Yeah.
even look like?
Yeah, so you mentioned backpack journalism, and like I'll give a little background because we're in the 21-minute countdown. I went to journalism school. This was back from '04 to '08, so you can age me a little bit. But I remember Twitter was just coming out, blogs were just becoming a thing. People were literally videoing and posting like the same day. And I remember our journalism professor saying, this is the new world. You can no longer be just a writer or just a videographer or just a photographer or just a broadcast announcer. They were telling us that as the sort of ways that people are sharing information continue to become more multimodal, they were telling us that we're going to have to become what they called backpack journalists. Like
I love this term.
now it's
Yeah.
phone journalists. Like you don't even have to have the backpack, right? The technology has caught up with us. And so when I think about marketers today, you know, right now we're in a pretty siloed world, or we have been for, let's say, the last 10 years or so. You have like CRM marketers, you have paid media. Even paid media is split into like people who focus on the top of funnel,
Growth. Or,
people who focus on performance, right? I think we're going to see more of a melding of those siloed roles. And the reason why is because now you can kind of connect the dots a lot more than you could before, right? So someone who maybe developed creative and then bought it and then optimized it were maybe two or three different people. And now you could have one tool that's developing the creative, literally buying the media, optimizing the media, and then talking back to itself and saying, this is what worked, this is what didn't creatively, let's go rebuild it. And there are tools out there that can do the entire process. So I think as a marketer, you have to think about not just your piece of the pie, but how they connect to the process before you're in that and the process after you're in it. So you can really start to connect the dots a little bit more.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really important the like human aspect of that like almost closed loop cross functionality tool, because somebody's got to be in the middle of it to make sure like everything's connected. And I think that's what turns the account manager, the designer, the, you know, analyst into one person, and creates this like overwhelming need for people with cross functional experience. And like we're making jobs and creating efficiencies, and your output I think is going to be measured at a lot higher of a bar.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a pendulum, right? I feel like, Hannah, when you and I were kind of coming up through marketing, this idea of more of the generalist, know a lot about a little and be able to like plug in different ways, and then really became super siloed, and you were a subject matter expert, and you were a one trick pony and you did that trick really good, is now coming back to using the tool and knowing a lot again about, you know, not a little amount, like a lot amount of things to be able to use the AI and the tech successfully. So it's, you know, once again, history repeating itself. But I think it's so interesting now, especially in your role and how you're seeing it deployed. You were telling me, you know, some of the ways that you've been able to integrate. Can you just like give us a brief, what you can mention of how you're using it at DoorDash? Like, what are the ways you've seen it be able to really move the needle?
Yeah. You know, as you mentioned, like marketing has become so splintered, I think because of the complexity of the channels that have just exponentially increased in the last 10 to 20 years, right? Now we have, you know, 3 or 4 very, very large social media channels, and it used to just be Facebook, right? And now there's...
You could like poke people. That was like
Right.
the tech.
That was the vibe.
That was the vibe.
You know, they're TikTok experts now, and like that is a role that is like needed within your team, right? Mm-hmm. But I think as we start to see the AI is able to look across channels and start to make connections across channels, I think that's kind of the opportunity. So you might be like maybe more of a social media expert that understands paid and organic at the same time because you can use a tool, right? And right now those are kind of broken apart, right? You have sort of organic people and you have performance people. But I think, you know, as we think about it at DoorDash, what we did was we broke down the process that all the teams go through. And the first thing I did was jump in with all the team leads and have a conversation, not about AI, but about where are your pain points as a team, right? What's your process? Where are your pain points? What's getting broken? What takes a long time for your team to do? And so we've started more at the how do we automate things that take usually a long time that's manual, right? Mm-hmm. And so those are things like getting data from multiple sources and pulling that together and analyzing it, find the root cause, find the connections between those data sets. That's one example, right? And that's like a huge one. I think that is going to fix a lot of problems within marketing orgs, is just being able to like connect disparate data together and make real impactful decisions. So that's one place where we're leaning in really heavily. Our creative team is literally trying every tool on the market, and I love that because
there's like new one hourly now.
Yeah,
it's like every day.
Yeah,
they're every day. They're like, can I try this one, right? And then that's me going and trying to understand, how do we legally trial this vendor? How do we make sure there's indemnification in place? How do we make sure we're legally okay to use these things from a copyright perspective, right? So I'm leaning in there. And I think, you know, the creative side has brought up an interesting conversation. Is like, where do we use these AI tools? Where do we not? How do we keep our brand consistent over time? So leaning in there, I think that's a super interesting conversation that I could literally go on for hours about. And then something else that we're sort of diving into now is this shift from SEO to what we're calling AEO. Some people call it GEO, but it's essentially the shift from a search engine optimized website and content to an answer engine optimized website or content. You're seeing LLMs pull in more than just what's on your website. It's pulling in Reddit data. It's pulling in random blogs, right? So now you really have to think about what is being said about your brand that's more than just on your website, right? So the content outside of your website, I think, will matter more for these LLMs and the answers people are getting there. Because, there's a world where people are making decisions on the LLM and not clicking on every single link because you don't have to anymore. It's kind of making the decision for you. Whereas on Google, you're going in, you're like, click on one, click on another, and you're sort of, making the connections. So yeah, AEO I think is another really interesting one as well, and a lot more that we're doing. But I think those are kind of the top three that I'm really leaning in on right now.
I feel like, one of the things that you just mentioned brings up a really interesting point too, because when you think about like product or service and how do you influence people, marketers in the room, we go to brand and establishing credibility through the brand. And, well, what do you need for a brand? Well, you need a website and you need social channels and you need all of these different platforms and pieces of real estate to influence, the click or the purchase or the decision. And AI potentially is just pulling all that into one spot, right? So do you think like brands don't exist anymore? We just all become AI prompter and that's how content gets created? I'm giggling because like our conversation yesterday as we were just kind of catching up was like, are we going to become amoebas? Do we even need us? Like,
full-blown meltdown.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And like to your point about that, like I had a client ask me yesterday, like, why am I ranking 4th when you look up my industry location specific search in ChatGPT? How do I become first on this list?
Yeah.
And like, I wish I had a like all-encompassing answer for you, but nobody's quite there yet to being able to answer that question, check all the right boxes to be that number one rank for when people use the new form of search.
But you're thinking ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's, right now is very different than it's going to be in 2 to 3 years, right? So right now you're sort of optimizing for your placement within that list on ChatGPT. And I think if a company wants to make impact right now, they should look at their site, they should look at their app, they should make sure that you're speaking like a person would, right? And not just optimizing for like keywords, but optimizing for the questions that people are asking in ChatGPT, right?
Yes.
That's such a good point.
I mean, that's sort of like the guidance that I'm getting just from reading a bunch of LinkedIn articles. Like the thing is, I don't think anyone knows, and the models keep changing very quickly. Yeah. And so I think it's just like, you just continually optimize, and I think that's fine. Like we're all living in a world where we don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now. Sam Altman doesn't know, I'll tell you that. Yeah. He's like he's trying to be a futurist, but even he's like, the thing's learning pretty fast, right? It's going to make decisions on its own. So I think, as I'm thinking about the next 3 to 5 years as a marketer and where brands can really play and websites can play, like there's a time where I don't know if your website really plays the same piece in the pie that it does right now. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because there's going to be much more voice automation. You're already doing it with Alexa. Can't say it too loud because she's here, right? You're already doing it, right? And she's listening and she's ready to go make a purchase for you if you want to.
She sure is.
And she's going to send maybe something that you've purchased before. But if that's not there is a world where you give her the freedom to make the decision for you because she knows so much about you and your preferences already. Mm-hmm. She knows your size. She knows what brands you like. She knows the price point that you're willing to pay for certain categories, right? Yeah. So, like, in 5 years, will the websites even matter?
Or convenience?
That's right. And like, how much freedom do we give to these LLMs and these devices that are going to be prevalent all around us all the time? Yeah. But I think the question on brand is interesting in that I think brands will still play a role because you're going to read something in the LLM and the answer, it's going to talk to you and you're going to hear something that's going to be like, oh yeah, I've heard about that brand. Mm-hmm. And like, however that brand emotionally makes you feel is still going to help make the decision for you if there is a decision to be made, right?
And it's like we're still crafting the learning around the LLM against the brand name.
Yeah.
What are your
Yeah.
ethos? What do you want to be known for? Which becomes like your North Star as a brand. You can't be scattered. You need a very simple, straightforward reason to believe, right? And that ultimately is what is going to take hold, and then implied undercurrents of why to pick this company brand, this click this link, or how you show up, right? So yeah, the evolution I think is just going to continue as to brand name and why to trust and believe.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
What's a tool you can tell us that maybe you have implemented or seen or tested, or is it out in the market that you feel like is just an absolute game changer? Blew your mind.
Something that I saw recently, I'm reading a book about AI, and it's about actually the new AI generation, right? Like our children. How are they going to grow up in this world? And everyone's like, it blows everyone's mind.
Terrifying.
I opened the book, and the first page is a QR code. And it says, if you would like to speak to this book or ask it questions about what you've read, click here, visit our chatbot, basically. And I was like, holy crap. It blew my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
That's incredible.
Like, can people
I have
read in
weird
the
chills
future?
right now. Not in the good way, but not in the bad way. Like, I'm excited, but I'm scared.
Yeah. I think that's honestly just like the total vibe of AI. Like, I'm excited, but
Oh
I'm
my
scared.
God.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What
And
if-
so, like, I'm reading this book, and I'm like, I don't even need to take notes. I don't even need to highlight anything. One, I'm reading a physical book, which is, like, weird in the first place. I don't normally do it. But, like, yeah, I would normally have something like a notes on my phone and be like, oh, take this down. I'm like, now I don't have to, right? I'm just going to go back and be like, hey, what's that thing the author said about XYZ?
Yep.
And then
Ask
I
chat.
can speak to it too. I could be like, okay, but then what if this? And then the author's basically speaking back at me. So I'm kind of
Interactive
like
books.
one-on-one.
Choose your own adventure.
It's just like,
Yeah. Blows
Right.
your mind.
And like,
You start
what
brain
else is going to
explosion,
be
yeah.
like that? Yeah, what else
Yeah.
is going to be like
Yeah.
that? Movies,
Wow.
music, and everything
Everything.
that you do in work.
Yeah.
You know?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, one meets the other at this point. It's
Yeah.
insane. 21 minutes flies by every time.
so fast.
I don't even know how.
Especially with
like,
awesome people like you, Hannah.
No doubt. Absolutely. This has been fun. We could do this for hours and hours. Unfortunately, Hannah has a call because she's very important.
Yep.
Yes.
Can't blame her.
Come on.
We really appreciate your time. Thank you for spending it with us. Excited to see where the future brings us and how you're going to continue to craft it.
Thank you so much for having me on. Really fun
You're
time.
welcome.